Hi. My name is Alara Quinn. I'm 23 years old. On my sister's 12th birthday, I woke up to an empty house. No noise. No decorations. No smell of cake baking in the kitchen. Just silence. I checked the family group chat. Photos. Airport selfies. Boarding passes. My little sister smiling at the gate. Destination, Melbourne. No one had told me. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I typed. So you all left town today? 3 dots appeared. Dad replied. Didn't feel like babysitting a problem child. Problem child. At 23. Living in the house I helped pay off. Managing the rental properties they bragged about to their friends. I read the message twice. Then I smiled. And typed back. Perfect. A pause. Because your retirement fund. I didn't finish the sentence. Not yet. Some bombs are better dropped slowly. They thought leaving me behind was punishment. They thought exclusion would hurt me. What they forgot. I was the one managing their investments. And I had just discovered something interesting. Dad read my message. The chat went quiet. No laughing emojis. No birthday stickers. No sarcastic comments. Just silence. Then, what about it? He replied. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the dashboard open on my laptop. For the past 3 years, I had been helping out. Setting up their retirement portfolio. Moving funds between accounts. Rebalancing investments. Handling tax-efficient transfers. Because apparently, the problem child was also the only one in the family who understood finance. They trusted me with everything. Passwords. Authorizations. Digital access. And last month, when Dad insisted on moving most of his retirement savings into a guaranteed opportunity recommended by a friend, he didn't read the fine print. But I did. And I warned him. Twice. He told me not to overthink it. Now I stared at the screen showing a red number that would make most people feel sick. The investment hadn't just dipped. It had collapsed. Frozen. Under investigation. Liquidity, 0. I typed back calmly. You might want to check your portfolio before enjoying Melbourne. 3 seconds. 10 seconds. Then the call came. Dad. I let it ring twice before answering. What did you do? He demanded immediately. I almost laughed. I did exactly what you asked, I said evenly. I executed your instructions. Silence. Because deep down, he knew. This wasn't my mistake. It was his ego. And suddenly, the problem child was the only person who understood the problem. I could hear airport announcements in the background. Boarding calls. Laughter. Dad had stepped away from the family to call me. How bad is it? He asked, voice tighter now. Not angry. Afraid. I didn't answer immediately. I wanted him to feel the silence. The weight of not knowing. Open the dashboard, I said calmly. Scroll to the consolidated view. I heard tapping. A pause. Then nothing. Just breathing. Dad. I asked softly. That can't be right, he whispered. It was right. Years of savings. Equity from selling the second property. His early retirement plan. Locked. Frozen. Under investigation for fraud. Why didn't you stop it? He snapped suddenly, looking for someone to blame. I tried, I replied. You said I was dramatic. You said I always create problems. More silence. In the background, I could faintly hear my mom asking, what's going on? He didn't answer her. Because explaining would mean admitting something uncomfortable. The problem child had been the only adult in the room. How much can we recover? He asked finally. Now we were talking like professionals. Not like father and daughter. It depends, I said evenly. On whether you listen this time. Another boarding announcement echoed behind him. Family vacation to Melbourne suddenly didn't feel as exciting. And for the first time in my life, he needed me. Not as a daughter. Not as a burden. But as the only person who could fix what his pride had broken. I could hear their chatter faintly through the phone line. Laughing. Unaware. Carefree. I leaned back in my chair, sipping my coffee. Calm. Unshaken. You're quiet, Dad said finally. What are you going to do? I let that question hang. Years of being dismissed. Ignored. Called a problem child. And now? I had all the power. All the control. I could fix it. Return the funds. Smooth everything over. Make them forget they ever left me behind. Or, I could let the lesson land. I chose patience. I'm thinking, I said evenly. The pause on the line was long. I imagined him sweating in the airport lounge, phone pressed to his ear. I'll need your cooperation, I continued. Full disclosure. Step by step. Everything in writing. Silence. Because suddenly, control wasn't theirs anymore. I wasn't angry. I wasn't spiteful. I was deliberate. And the first step of the lesson had already landed. You underestimate me at your own peril. They had left me behind to babysit myself. Now I would babysit their finances. On my terms. And tomorrow, the real reckoning would begin. By mid-morning, the reality had hit. Dad's phone was blowing up. Mom's texts, frantic. And my little sister? Confused, asking why everyone seemed upset. I let them stew. Because the truth is, the first consequence of being ignored isn't punishment. It's awareness. I called Dad calmly. Step 1, transparency. Full account of every transaction since January. Now. He swallowed. I could hear it over the line. You're serious, he stammered. Always, I said evenly. The meltdown started slowly. Emails to brokers. Calls to banks. Rechecking every signature. Every authorization. And suddenly, the family who flew to Melbourne without a thought was scrambling to fix what they assumed I would quietly manage. I didn't intervene. I didn't offer shortcuts. I just monitored every mistake they had made. Every oversight. Every assumption. Played out in real time. By evening, Dad admitted. You've always been the only one who understood. Exactly. And for the first time, being called a problem child didn't feel like an insult. It felt like a shield. A reminder that being underestimated can be powerful. By the next day, the full consequences became impossible to ignore. Their Melbourne vacation was no longer carefree. Banks called. Brokers questioned transactions. Tax documents were missing. Investment opportunities? Gone. Every error they assumed was minor suddenly demanded attention. Dad called, voice tight. Elara, this is worse than we thought. I stayed calm. Even. Patient. Yes, I said softly. It is. Because you left me out of the loop. You underestimated me. You assumed patience equals weakness. Her mother tried to argue. We didn't know. You didn't care, I interrupted. That's the difference. Even my little sister sent me a text from the airport. Why is everyone panicking? I smiled faintly. She had no idea. Because this wasn't chaos. It was clarity. A lesson in underestimation. By evening, they realized fully. The funds frozen, the opportunities lost, the scramble to fix mistakes, none of it was my fault. And yet, they had to face me. The one they always dismissed. The problem child. For the first time, they understood. Being underestimated isn't harmless. It's dangerous. Especially when the one underestimated knows exactly what they are doing. By the next morning, Dad finally tried to regain control. He called, voice sharper now, more formal. Elara, we need to negotiate. You can't just. I cut him off calmly. I'm listening. Her mother chimed in over the line. Please, let's figure this out. We can fix it if you. I held up my hand, even though they couldn't see it. Silence carried more weight than any argument. You underestimated me for years, I said evenly. Ignored my advice. Called me a problem. Left me behind on my sister's birthday. And now you're scrambling because the systems were never built to fail, except they did. Under your oversight. A pause. You want to negotiate. I continued. Fine. Step 1, full transparency. Step 2, accountability. Step 3, your cooperation. Or we do nothing. And you continue facing the consequences of your choices. Her father's voice wavered. This isn't what we expected. Exactly, I said softly. It isn't. That's the point. They had bargained for control. They had bargained for ignorance. They had bargained for dismissal. And now, the only bargaining power left was mine. I ended the call without another word. Because sometimes, winning isn't about shouting. It's about letting the quietest moves speak the loudest. By nightfall, the lesson had landed. Her parents' Melbourne vacation was overshadowed by calls, emails, and urgent texts. Their assumptions, pride, and oversight had all backfired spectacularly. I sat at my desk, soft light spilling across the room. My sister's birthday cake remained untouched, her gift waiting patiently for her return. My own life, calm, precise, under my control, reflected the quiet power I'd always held. I didn't gloat. I didn't yell. I simply existed. Patient. Strategic. Unshakable. Her father finally admitted it. We didn't realize. No apology. No pleading. Just acknowledgement. Enough. Her mother tried to defend herself. We didn't mean. I smiled faintly. Intentions don't erase consequences. Choices do. You left me behind, underestimated me, dismissed me. The results? Now visible. Her little sister texted. Wow. Big lesson. Exactly. Some storms roar. Some are silent. And when the quiet storm strikes, no one forgets. I leaned back, calm, victorious. 5 years of dismissal, exclusion, and underestimation had led to this. They had thought they were teaching me a lesson. But the lesson was theirs. And the problem child? She had quietly won.